and spa.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA online at WTKA.com. Sam Webb and the man on a Tuesday. We had a bit of an audible. Yesterday was a holiday. He said, DG, can you come on Tuesday instead? He said, man, if I could get out of bed. If I get out of bed, I come on Tuesday.
I guess I can come on Tuesday. You're messing up my whole schedule, but in everything, but I guess.
We get back on schedule next week, DG.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
All good. I'm excited. It's good. It's all good.
I'd ask you how the off season has been, but we actually have done a couple things. We did it
was the off season? Ain't nobody tell me.
We did the Wolverine weekend. We did the signing show over at Chrysler, and you had a whole bunch of things in between.
Yeah.
Elite 11. You had the USFL. I mean, you had a lot of hats. You got a Reggie Bush job yet? I'm just wondering.
What is wrong with you?
I'm just wondering. I just think the man leaves a lot to be desired.
A lot on the bone. A lot of meat left on the bone.
A lot of meat left on the bone. Absolutely. That is a great
Speaking
analogy.
of meat left on the bone.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So, look, let's start off with the dynamic. Talking about the dynamic. And let me make people aware of the format. There's a format change. All right. So we will still be doing the X's and O's breakdown with the telestrations and everything, but that will be a separate segment. Right. So we will go through, break down the game, get Devin's thoughts out, even take some questions from you for DG toward the end of the segment. I'll do the same thing with Al Board, the same thing with Vance Bedford, where we do the breakdowns in a separate deal. The X's and O's piece with the telestration. So this part will be the straight commentary piece. And so, Dab, let's start off talking about
that though. They can trust that they better get to that telestration piece because obviously everything that is being said is a fact and no opinion is involved. Right? We went through a whole year last year. It was like, oh my goodness, look at all this information I'm getting that I would never have gotten. And so they can trust that I'm going to talk about a lot of things. And you're like, man, I don't understand that. Well, come on over to the next deal and you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about the dynamic. The competition, Jim Harbaugh laid it out going back to the spring that it's going to be open competition. Guys are going to be back. We're going to see who the best guy is. You got an incumbent that won a Big Ten championship, of course, but you got a young guy that's shown he deserves an opportunity to compete for the job. But he's out for the spring, Devin. You get in the fall camp, and early in fall camp, a little bit knocking the rust off. Second half of fall camp for JJ, he starts to come on. That first half of fall camp, where it's some clear separation for Cade McNamara. Second half of fall camp, much more back and forth, which sets up what Jim laid out this season or the early part. One quarterback starts one game, the other alternating starting quarterbacks. What did you think of that?
I mean, I think that is a true competition. And it's when you think about it, though, it's kind of almost – it's not disrespectful to the teams you play per se, just because he made it clear that he thinks that he can win a championship with both teams. So it's not like, oh, we'll just play around a little bit in the beginning. Well, no, we think we can win a championship with both quarterbacks. So essentially we're putting our best guy out there no matter who goes out there, if that makes sense. And but I think that it's a real true competition, right? Because you always hear all the time, oh yeah, you compete and you compete. I remember this is a funny story. I was playing receiver, and then Denard got hurt, and the whole idea was like if Denard anything whatever happened to Denard, I would be the quarterback, and I go in the next day and we're in meetings, and they say, hey Devin, you'll take all the 2 reps in practice. And Russell Bellamy, you'll take all the 1 reps. Well, we know what that means because practice is designed for you to succeed. So if you can't succeed with the 1 reps, you're terrible, right? So you got to completely be terrible for me to even get a chance to play. And then the next day, Russell was hurt or whatever the case may be moving forward. But at that moment, I was demoralized because you know what that means as a competitor. That I can't possibly win the job when I'm going with the 2s. That's not how life works. That's not how football works. So the fact that they're given an opportunity for a true, organic, real competition, I think is going to bring out the best in both guys, or is going to show if one or the other guy can't compete.
it sort of felt like this, and I said this after the game, and you tell me if you can get with it, Dev. I said, sometimes the moment has a way of applying more pressure than the opponent does.
Oh yeah,
and it felt like that in this game. You worn a uniform, you've been in the position of being in the competition. Is that the case?
Listen, man, I'm just telling you, it's very hard to explain. And the whole State Street versus Main Street player is a real thing. You don't know how many people I saw in practice, and it's like, man, this guy is the best football player in America. Oh my goodness, he's so good. And then you get in that atmosphere of like true pressure, true you got to perform, true all those things, and this guy stinks. Like he's just not very good, right? And so for Cade, for an entire year, he was in a position of control where, hey, as long as I don't mess up, I'll be fine. You know what I mean? JJ will come in, he'll do his thing, but I'll be fine as long as I don't play terrible. Well, now a true competition, it's almost like you're playing spades, right? And you don't know what the other people have, so you better go big. You better throw out that ace of spades because you don't know what that other person's holding in his hand. You know what I mean? And so he's in a position now where he has to perform and not just, oh, I'll just drop back, I'll check it down, or there's a big play out there, but I'm gonna ignore it, I'm gonna whatever, because in a week, under the lights, night game, the young fella's gonna get his shot, and people are gonna see him for their first time in a full game.
So let's get your broad strokes from the contest. We heard in the offseason, first they scored 44 to 51 points, so they won the game 51-7. Let's start there. But how did they get those 41? You got the impression based on what we were hearing from in the offseason, not just from players, but even from Jim, who said, hey, we're going to be a more explosive unit, right? We're going to be more explosive in the passing game. These are quotes.
Yeah.
Right? So you got the impression that was going to be evident from the jump. It wasn't really evident in that game. Was that game plan, or was that adjustment to you? Do you think they came out and played with the way, or had the game plan or executed the game plan they set out to, or do you think they adjusted along the way and said, hey, we're gonna run this rock, kind of go at this a different way to make sure that we win this thing comfortably?
Well, they adjusted along the way. I'm sure they did have a plan to be super explosive, because if they did not, they're not giving Cade a fair shake, right? Because they have to allow him to be the offense that they plan to be. Mm-hmm. But he has some things in there, and it's just like, can't do it. We're not about to lose the game for it. No, we're not going to lose the game against Colorado State to show how explosive we can be. So, I mean, it's like we talked about, it's a different atmosphere when you're in the game, and now you're experiencing true competition where in the back of your mind, you know, you're not going to get pulled out of this game, but you know for a fact in a week, they're going to be explosive. This offense is going to be explosive in a week. So you need to try to show that. And I like we talked about, I went through the plays. We're not going to do much defense and all that other stuff because of this true competition. Is the most important thing in Michigan football right now. For these film breakdowns, we're going to do quarterback every single passing play, right? And obviously, the one thing I think Cade does a really good job of that, is it kind of gets ignored. He does a good job of getting us in the right run play. So we're not going to be able to do that as much, but he does, from what I understand, do a good job of that. But we're going to break down every single pass play or every single throw that's made, and some pass plays that don't get throws made, I'll talk about them briefly if there's something glaring that happens. But other than that, we'll ignore those, and we're going to just break it down with facts. What happened on this play? Should this have happened? How was the throw? How was the footwork? How was the read? Did you see coverage rotation and things like that?
So let's get into sort of any themes that you saw manifest. What did you see different from Cade? What did you see the same from him? Okay. Did you see many similarities? Did you see many differences?
Many similarities, and not a whole bunch of differences. But I did see one throw that was a talent throw. We haven't seen many talented throws from Cade even over the entire year last year. We saw throws that were made and things like that, but none of that linebacker in the way. I'm still going to throw this dig behind him, and I'm going to get the ball up and down over his head, things like that. He had one of those. That was very – I'm sorry?
Was it the Eric All one?
No, I think it was I think it was no. That was a terrible read, but it was a very good throw. It was a great throw. It was a great throw. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I don't know why you laughed so hard. You know I'm being already. You know I'm gonna tell you the truth. You're not gonna sit here and lie. It was a great throw, an outstanding throw, a throw that should have never been made. But I think it was to Ronnie Bell. He got it over the linebacker and dropped it right in Ronnie Bell's chest. Easy catch. Ronnie Bell could protect himself and all of it. It was an outstanding throw. But so many times, and when I tell you Colorado State was so vanilla, I remember I told you I had them last year, but their coach is gone, or no, they have a new coach, right? But they were so vanilla because obviously a new coach comes, you can't put too much in. This isn't like Colorado State is not Alabama, right? You can't just overhaul stuff, And the way they play offense isn't conducive to success on defense. You can't play offense so fast and get off the field and then play defense with complexity, if you will. So it's super vanilla, just normal rotation, clouding the boundary, sky to the field, or whatever the case may be, one high, and he's missing it. Like he's missing it. He just can't. He's not seeing the rotation. Remember, we thought that his strength, before I started diving into the film, me and you both, we thought the strength of him was he's the savant. Like he sees the field, he knows, he reads coverage and things like that. And that was us being lazy because it just isn't the case, right? And so that's the one thing that I was super surprised by when I watched the film. Like when I watched the game, you can't see, you just watch the game or whatever. But then when I watched the film, like in depth, it's like we still aren't seeing coverage. We're not seeing the rotation, and we're not getting to the correct throw, right? Even if we have a completion, we're still not getting to the correct throw, which is a concern.
So, and we're talking to Devin Gardner here on the Monday Morning Quarterback on Tuesday. We'll return to our regular day next week. Holiday this week.
It was Sam's fault, by the way. He didn't want to work on a holiday. I'm a holiday worker.
The station
I am a holiday worker.
Yesterday. The station was off yesterday. Anyway.
You got the keys. You got the keys, Sam. You got the keys.
Man, you made me lose my train of thought, DG.
That's right. That's what I do.
Why? But the why. See, I don't think it's not, and so you help me with this as a quarterback, you through your quarterback eyes. I don't see a guy that doesn't understand. He's by all accounts one of the smartest guys on the team.
Yep.
Like he understands coverage. The way it felt, and I asked Borges this, I'm gonna ask you. It felt like sometimes he just really predetermines. I'm gonna go to Eric All on this.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with the football. Or I'm gonna throw this out. Is 35 seconds left in the half. It's cover 2. I don't care. I'm throwing the out.
Into the flat. Where the flat is covered.
But that seems like a predetermined decision. Like
which is worse. Which is significantly worse. Because now you don't react. Like at least like when you don't know coverage, you react. Right? Some guys can get through and get to the NFL that way. You know what I mean? Just because they have a special ability to react and get off of stuff and things like that. But when you predetermine and you're like, I'm doing it. I don't care what's going on. I am doing it. That's when you get in big trouble. And one more thing that, I preach to quarterbacks I work with all the time. And I'm just telling you, it works so good. And I had instances when I was a player of like, okay, this game, I had a plan every single time. Every time I had a plan, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Or a plan off of the plan, you know what I mean? And then there were times just like, man, you weren't locked in enough. You didn't have a plan like you needed to on every single snap. Like this is an every snap thing for a quarterback. It just looks like he never has a true plan of attack, excluding I'm going to throw to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I was going to throw to this guy. Oh, they rotated. So I know he knows coverage. So I was going to throw to this guy. If it was going to be man, it moved to zone. I'm still throwing to him. And it's super confusing of why that may be. But I mean, whenever you're ready, I can go through the plays and just, talk about each of them and add my color, because obviously you can't see the plays. Can't see the plays right now, but the color of the plays, you'll see them come alive because you learned so much stuff last year.
Here's because we can explain concepts that people can actually see when they go watch the X's and O's breakdown. So give me some examples of what we we're just talking about, or even if it's just that one, because it is important to lay out the scenario. And the one I'm talking about is cover 2. You got a corner squatting in the flat. He looked there. I think it's clear that he knew what the coverage was because he threw it over the quarter. It looks, people say, oh, that's a terrible throw. I think he threw it away on purpose. He's not throwing to that guy because it's probably going to get picked if he throws it to that guy, right? So
are you talking about the first third down of the game?
Is red zone 35 seconds left? Is that the one?
No, not. Well, it happened multiple times. Yeah.
Well, this was one where toward the end you got a timeout left, and I'm thinking, and I asked Borges this. I'm thinking in this situation, in 2 minutes, and you got a timeout. Are you as a quarterback thinking touchdown, check down, touchdown, check down? And why wouldn't you be thinking that, especially with the timeout left? And so he sort of went through his idea. But I want you to give me some examples of where it looked like, hey, maybe it's predetermined, or hey,
well, I'm going to go through
the check down too quickly.
Yeah, I'm just going to get through all the 18 throws, and you can stop me and ask questions as I go. I'm going to get through the 18 throws because it's only 18, so we're good to go. But this is a lot of it's like kind of repeat of last year where we get in the red zone, can't score. Three separate times, get in the red zone, don't score a touchdown. How do we lose to Michigan State? With all those yards and all that stuff, we didn't score in the red zone. And that's going to make you lose games to really good teams or in rivalry games. So, but okay, first throw. All right. It's a hitch seam, right? So hitch seam is a 5-yard hitch on the outside and a seam in the inside from the slot receivers, right? What the defense does is they rotate to 3 cloud. And what 3 cloud is they cloud the boundary with more guys, right? So they leave the corner in the flat, right? Safety goes over the top of him, so it kind of looks like cover 2 to that side, but then they have a guy in the middle, and then they have a guy on the opposite third to the field. He doesn't see the rotation. The field hitch, when I tell you the field hitch is wide open, I mean, I'm talking about just wide open. He doesn't see the rotation. He doesn't throw the field hitch. He doesn't see the field hitch. And so he goes, it's just kind of like how you said, it wasn't cover 2, but it was 3 cloud. So the corner's still in the flat. Mm-hmm. He goes, he looks there, even though the rotation happened, and now he's stuck, right? He's stuck with the ball. And then when you get stuck with the ball, when you predetermine, it makes you start to run around and do stuff, even though the pocket is solid. We talked about that last year where the pocket is solid, but we're just creating danger that isn't there. And then he gets out and he throws he tries to throw to the hitch. That's still open, by the way. This play's gone for like 4 seconds and he's still open because the corner bailed so much. And he throws it in his feet. All right, throws it in the ground. Now, the one thing I will say is Cornelius Johnson could have stayed there longer. Like he started to back out, you know what I mean? Like as he's running to him.
He's about that. What do you think about him continuing to retreat?
Well, he's wide open and it's a Big Ten, right? So the throw should be able to travel through his hands, but he continues to back up. But that's because he's standing there and he's open for so long. You know what I mean? The play started 3 or 4 seconds ago. So he's been standing at 5-yard depth waiting for the ball for a long time. And he's getting antsy. He's backing out, and then the ball hits him at his feet. So on all of these throws, all these plays, I went from 0 to 3 for a score. So a possible of 54 points, right? 0 to 3. 0, obviously, just bad read, bad feet, bad throw. 1 would be maybe you just had good read, bad throw, or whatever the case may be. 2 is good read, good throw, maybe bad footwork or whatever. And 3 is a perfect play. You did a perfect job. You know what I mean? So that's the first throw. Second throw, it's third down. And they have a cool way of running shallow cross, right? Shallow cross, everybody knows the slot receiver runs all the way across the field, right? Runs all the way across the field. Well, they have a play where it's all the same principles of shallow cross, but it looks like they give Roman Wilson the opportunity to read it, right? Early. Sometimes you usually read it on the opposite side of the field once you get there and see his zone. It looks like he has the opportunity to read it right away, sees his zone, sits down wide open, and he throws to the cover route, right? Versus press coverage, right? He throws it. I think everybody remember when it was wide outside to Cornelius Johnson. He throws the hitch, or it was like hitch or a stop versus press coverage when you have a wide open zone beater over there, because Roman Wilson did an amazing job on the other side of the field. And so I gave him a 1 for that. Because
so you're getting questions like, is there no film? Yes, there is film. It is a separate video. We are separating the film analysis in a separate video. So you have to go watch a different video to put it all together. All right. And that's a licensing thing. So just so you know, we have to do it this way. It isn't just because, you know, we're looking to do a different video. No, we have to do it this way. So if you want that, this is how we have to do it. Oh, go ahead.
So Cornelius Johnson, he runs a stop route. He wins, but not by a whole bunch, right? Because it's press coverage. You got to fight. And so now this ball has to be perfect. And it's very far outside. He has to dive and try to catch the ball. And I gave him a 1 just because that's not a completely wrong decision, right? If you want to take the one-on-one, I'm fine with you taking the one-on-one. But I don't understand. But it showed me you're not seeing coverage because you took the one-on-one when it's zoned on the other side and the receiver's wide open. Like you can't throw the cover guys from wide open guys. But that's the second throw. Third throw is outstanding. It's outstanding. It's a 3 all the way. It's a perfect 3. It's a bubble screen and Roman Wilson. And when I tell you that boy got the rolling, oh, man. I was clamoring all year last year. I was telling you, I'm like, man, he reminds me of Chris Olave. Like, he is super fast, super explosive, and is just chopping at the bit for an opportunity to take the top off the defense. Well, they got him this bubble screen, and everybody saw what I meant.
Hey, so let's recognition. It's pre-snap recognition, right? Run control bubble.
Can I get to that?
Okay. I
have the words in my notes if you would just wait your turn, Sam. Perfect read. These are the words I use. Perfect read. 2 defenders over 3 receivers, right? 2 defenders over 3 receivers with a safety high. Your safety can't get there. Get it to your playmaker.
Even he saw this one.
Yeah, well, everybody did because it was a big play. Here, get it to your playmaker and allow him to get to the house. And the thing is, what that does, especially when you do it early in the game, now the defense is real and like, oh my goodness, they just threw a bubble for a 60-yard touchdown. We have to account for that. So now the running game is super explosive. So that was a 3. That was good. That was really good. And remember, I said this before we started. In my opinion, by all accounts, he does a good job in the run game, getting you in the right play. And this is a part of the run game. Yeah,
man. So listen, we could go through. This is a sample. This is giving you some ideas. The bitter and the sweet is Borges called. We gave you, couple parts bitter, 1 part sweet. And it feels like that was kind of the thing. You had a couple of really like, man, what didn't like that one, and then one where you really liked it. It just wasn't the kind of hit rate that you wanted to see.
It was 50-50. He literally finished 9 of 18. It was 50-50 across the board. I'm gonna skip around some and go good bad, I guess. But the fourth throw, I have to do the fourth throw because the fourth throw is when we get the ball at the 15-yard line. The defense gets you the ball at the 15-yard line, and we do not score a touchdown. Get the ball on the 15-yard line. Perfect read, right? He finds the shallow cross. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, and the ball is thrown a foot behind Cornelius Johnson, right? So just a bad throw. In my opinion, should Cornelius Johnson catch the ball? Of course. But as a person that's play receiver, has run shallow crosses, and when I tell you he was running as fast as he can because he knows what he has to do to get open, he knows, hey, it's man-to-man. I have to run away. Sprinting as fast as you can at a 45-degree angle or maybe even maybe 35, and the ball is behind you, most difficult thing to happen. It's not impossible, but it was an extremely difficult catch that could be made a walk-in touchdown. And because of that, you don't get points in the red zone again.
Go to the play where Eric All fell. Go to that play. What was your?
That's the play after this one. That's the play after this one. So Eric All he runs the Texas route, and some people in football know Texas route. I don't know why it's called the Texas route. Maybe Texas used to run it with their running backs. But you go out at an angle and then you come in at 45, right? It's almost like a slant route, but from the backfield. And he falls. He slips and falls. And so I gave Cade a 3 on that play because he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. He got the ball out, and it looked like it was going to be a good pass. Where I have a problem, Eric All. So I just want to ask you, Sam. I want to ask you a few questions. Is Eric All a repeat offender of a guy who just slips all the time?
No.
Is Eric All a repeat offender of a guy who just misses blocks or just isn't where he's supposed to be?
No.
In your estimation, is Eric All a playmaker, a guy that makes plays that sometimes aren't there?
Yes.
Like we saw later in the day with the ball on the shoestrings, he makes a play. Am I correct in my estimation?
Very correct.
Well, my problem with this play is after Eric all slips because he's a human and sometimes does. The play after you missed a wide open shallow cross, slaps his hands, even gives him a double take of like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I understand you're in a competition because that's why the blood is flowing. I'm in a competition and you're slipping. I get it. But you're still the quarterback of a team and you just missed a shallow cross for a touchdown. And for him to show his teammate up on that stage with everybody watching, unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. And he didn't do it anymore in the game because nobody else slipped or nobody else made a mistake. It was only him making some mistakes. But I can't understand. Like, that's the whole thing. A lot of people say about Aaron Rodgers, like, why is he showing up his teammates on the field? Except Aaron Rodgers is the greatest passer we've ever seen. It's very. I did not like that one bit. I didn't like one bit. I still gave him a 3 because it's about the football part, but I could have easily given him a 0 because that's almost more important.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about the other side of the field when we get into the film breakdown. Similar to a question I had, different coverage, so a different scenario, or a different coverage with a different guy, but a kind of a similar scenario in that he really liked the matchup. I'm thinking of the one they had Luke Schoonmaker split out. He has a corner that is a corner on him. You like that matchup. You got 6'6" against the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel like he could really, really box him out. But the corner, Devin, I don't know if you have this particular play sort of laid out in a place where you could go right to it, but he squats. He's like, oh man, this dude's not gonna run past me. So my point is, there's no separation on this play.
Hold on, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Because he almost gets in a wrestling match and like tries to box him out, and he still throws it.
Right.
Okay. Hold on. Let me find it. Let me see. Shun. I struggle spelling Shun's name. That's why I should
just call him Scooney.
Yeah.
That'll be easy.
I'm like, how do you even spell this kid's name? Boundary stop. Dig. Nope.
And so my question, as you find the play, and I asked Borges this, if you like a matchup, there, because I'm curious what you tell a quarterback or how you're coached in a moment like that, where it's one-on-one. A lot of times when it's one-on-one.
No. Okay, I got it. So that was his last throw. That was the last play he had. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you right now. It's man-to-man, right? And he only has one man beater on the field. It's the slot fade to Ronnie Bell, which Ronnie Bell runs magnificently. It's actually the play that, remember, I recorded on the sideline in the first game of the year last year. And for some reason on that play, Kay recognized it. Here, he sees that maybe he doesn't see this man-to-man, and he sees this corner squat, but he stays there and says, I'm just throwing it. And that's kind of what you're talking about. To his defense, though, and I have this written down. To his defense, no, first of all, he needs to see the coverage and throw to the right guy. Let's be clear. But to his defense, what they did was they lined the running back, Donovan Edwards. They lined him outside of Scooney, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he was lined outside of Scooney, who went over there and covered him?
I have to look. I don't have to play in front of me.
Okay. If you don't know, that's fine. You can just say, I don't know. And
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. The corner, right? If a corner stays outside on a running back, is it a zone coverage or is it a man coverage?
Corner stays outside on my man, then it's a zone coverage because he's not, the linebacker will go out on him.
Exactly. It's a zone coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you do. You see the NFL all the time. Like, why are they starting the running back out there? Well, so you can give the quarterback some answers before it starts. Right. He lines up, the corner's out there, he comes back in, corner shifts in, right? But you just said it yourself. I know for a fact when I see that is okay. I just got the answer to the test. They showed their hand. It's a zone defense. At the snap of the ball, Donovan Edwards goes out. The linebacker chases. The corner chokes up and locks up on Scooney, and it's man-to-man. So they tricked him. They did trick him. But at this point in the game, you've already not seen coverage so much that I can't give you the benefit of the doubt, right? Mm-hmm. You have to see it because you've already missed it so many times. You know what I mean? And so, but they did definitely trick him to his defense. and they played him. They played him, and he got locked in, and he still threw it to the guy.
Yeah, so you giving credit to the defense on that play, but yeah,
for sure.
I just wonder how you were coached. This because we got to get to a break here. You're in a game and you like a matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, this is my guy. Did you ever get into a situation with this is my Jeremy Gallen? This one-on-one. I'm throwing it to you, Jeremy, because look, make a play. You probably, even if you're covered, I'm coming your way. Did you do that, or did you say, man, I like this matchup, but JG, he's not winning the matchup. Let me go someplace else.
My favorite way to play, and one of my favorite plays of my career, my favorite play, H2 slow X curl. H2 slow X curl. I asked Coach Borges about it. And it's play action right. We're on the right hash. You've seen me throw it a million times where Jeremy Gallen either runs a curl or H2 slow X square out where he runs a square out. I go fake play side and throwing the ball right away. There's been a number of occasions, though, after I come out of the fake, I see the rolled up coverage. I go right back to the other side. Even though I desperately want to throw this much easier throw to my favorite target, flip my eyes, get on the other side right away. So obviously you want to throw the guys you want to throw to. But the thing is, there's so many weapons on the field. Like, that's not your best matchup. Scooney against that corner is not your best matchup. Your best matchup is Ronnie Bell in the slot running a slot fade versus a safety. That's your matchup. So that's an issue. Like, that's a bad choice of matchup. I don't know what the problem is, but in what universe is Scooney running a stop route, a standstill route versus a corner, a better throw or a better?
I'm not making that argument that it is. I'm just trying to get into the thought process. Like,
I can't help you with the thought. I don't know why that would happen. But I told you, because he thought it was going to be zone, and that is the play. If it's zone, that means that corner's going to back off and Scooney's going to be able to work his deal and be open. But so they tricked him. But once he saw that he didn't do that, I have a plan, right? You can't get locked in. If he has a plan, he goes right, just kind of like how I explained the H2X curl, where as soon as I see that rolled up corner, I'm going right back to the other side of Roy Roundtree on a bench route, right? Because I know that coverage is soft because of how teams play. But yeah, those eyes, as soon as he saw them making contact and kind of wrestling at the snap, I'm straight to this slot fade because I'm throwing a touchdown.
All right, we need to get to a break. When we come back on the other side, we will get what that. You didn't give us what the final grade was, so we'll get that, and then have you talk about JJ coming in the game, how the offense changes, if by play call or just by how he executes the plays that are called. What was the difference in that game? We'll get into that on the other side. More Monday Morning Quarterback on Tuesday with Devin Gardner. Stay tuned for that. And by the way, the film, we're still going to break down the actual footage, but that'll be in a separate video, so be on the lookout for that. We got to get to a break. Back on the other side here. Monday Morning Quarterback on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, The Ticket.
Clear on the radio.
All right, there is a lot of commentary, DG. There's a lot of comments. I'm going to see if I would just start throwing them up on the board and see, have you get a reaction here.
Sure, I'll react.
Here's one.
I think starting JJ in this night game is a good idea, even if they were going with K. I do too. That's very vague, though. I'm pretty sure there's more questions in there. That's vague. That's a statement. That's not, that question. I'm just super concerned about JJ's durability. Then he tries to get every yard possible, and he isn't the thickest guy. I just pray it's about. Well, yeah, he's a football player, right? And so you want him to get down more, but he has limited opportunities. He's in the fight for his life, so he has to continue to try to make plays as much as he can. And to be honest, I don't want to see my young quarterback cowering, right? Mm-hmm. That's when you go take some chances and things like that, and he does. But I would like the one hit he took where he got through the middle and got hit by the two guys. I would have liked to see him get down on that one.
How did you learn to slide, DG?
I didn't. Nussmeier took me out and we did a whole slip and slide thing, and it's just not a thing.
How about this one, DG?
I just learned to get down.
What about this one, DG?
Benching your top title-winning captain for a prima donna is surely going to work out. Well, Johnson Spark, I can't wait till we do this film. Well, maybe he wasn't here last year. Maybe. Johnson Spark clearly knew, because he's obviously not seeing the breakdowns of is he our title-winning quarterback? I feel like there are title-winning quarterbacks as a group. Because let me just say this. If you remember, before JJ entered the equation and started playing sporadically, remember that? Before that, our quarterback threw for 40 yards an entire game and couldn't be trusted to throw the ball, even on bubbles. That was against Washington. And that's not a dig. That's a fact. We broke down the film. We watched it extensively. We talked to coaches. Couldn't be trusted to throw the ball. Then you insert JJ the next week in a role where he takes some of the pressure off in the run game. He can do a couple of things with his legs to give Cade a chance to look at it and get back out there and give good field position, things like that. And then he plays really well. So Jackson Spark, pay attention.
All right. So you always talk about how different it is when you're the guy, right?
Very different.
Here's one from Dan Reed.
The catch is he hasn't received. See, Dan Reed has been here. He's listened. That is exactly why this has to be done. It has to, because we can't continue to move and mosey about saying, oh, maybe he is the guy or whatever. Now he's going to get a clear opportunity of being a guy in a whole entire football game, and we're going to get a chance to see how he responds. And I think that's important. I even talked to JJ's dad. I said, listen, your kid's going to have an opportunity, and if he sucks, that's on him, right? But you have to have an opportunity is what I think myself and everybody else is clamoring for.
All right, sorry about that. I was doing on the talk back with Ira. Let's get to some more. All right, so read that one to Devin right now. Got a question that came to us via the phone, Devin, for you. So we'll get to that one before we get right back. What did it say, Ira?
So I got a text message from our friend Steve, Mr. Clark. He says, I've been listening to Devin. He wants to know how you feel about Cade's performance. Are you blaming Cade, his receivers, or was Cade forced to check the ball down?
Is that a real question?
Yeah, that's a real question.
No, guys are very open. Guys are very open. He was not forced to check the ball down. Very open and, as usual, very good protection as well. And you'll see that in the breakdown. Obviously, I guess I can't be trusted, even though I was very accurate on every single thing a year ago. But it's fine. You'll see the breakdown, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, again, he's so right. That's crazy." It's not like I just want people to be clear. There's no opinion on this show. Like, when we get in this part, like the breakdown and talking about plays, there's no opinion. All opinion is gone. Right? It's all fact and what we're seeing on the film. So,
all right. So I'll have you read that question.
Back in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA online at WTK.com. Sam Webb, Ira Weintraub on the other side. And our Monday morning quarterback back in the building. People excited to see just a little programming note. We are still doing the footage breakdown with the telestrations. Devin drawn on the screen. Borges with all of his spotlights and, telling what all the different. Oh man, we spotlight the fish, and you gotta get the fish, and he has every single line movement to a T. We're doing all of that again, but those would be separate videos. Those would be separate videos from the analysis portion, so we can, we gotta do this. And here's what you guys have to do: support our sponsors. You like the Monday morning quarterback, you like the Tuesday breakdowns with Al and Vance, support the sponsors. And then we will still bring you the footage. Can't monetize the footage. Trust me, it was a real ordeal last year all the way up until now that we still dealing with. But
so good.
We figured out a way through for you. All right. So Ira, we got a question from Steve Clark in the break. The people on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook heard it, but not the people on the radio. So why don't you read it for them?
Yeah, so people want to know from Devin his thoughts on Cade's performance as far as, is this on Cade? Is the receivers, was Cade forced to check down? So just kind of take us through what you saw when it comes to making those final decisions.
Yeah, I mean, so I like to stay away from fault. Whose fault is it? But the film says there's no opinion involved. The film says Cade did not recognize coverage. Cade did not have a plan. Cade threw in the coverage, and I mean that's the end of the story. I mean, there's no more really to. So there's not like guys didn't get open. No, there were guys wide open, like with no one within 5 yards, but you didn't get to the right guy because of the rotation of the coverage. You just didn't see it and things like that. And then there were times where he did a very good job on a few occasions where he did see the rotation of the coverage and make a good throw as well. So that was kind of the overall. And so I talked about the grading system out of 54, right? So 3 points per play. All right, perfect play is 3. The worst, not terrible play is 0. And 1 and 2 is a good feed, bad throw, bad read, good throw, the mixture of that. And for me, I had him graded at 33 of 54, right? 33 points out of 54, which is a D minus, right? 61%. And I think that's about right as far as when you watch it without looking in depth, right? You see, and it's like, this is a little underwhelming. You get in the red zone 3 times, didn't score, has had a couple missed throws here or there. And when you look at it with the naked eye, it's like, that's about a D. That's about maybe a D plus, maybe. But going through and off that grading system, 33 out of possible 54 points for me, and that's 61%. D minus.
Yeah. Again,
I remember these are all facts.
I hear you. I hear you.
No.
What isn't a fact and what is opinion and speculation is why. And what I keep coming back to is what it looks like to the untrained eye is, or an eye not as trained as, hey, predetermined where he's gonna go. And recognizing the coverage that, okay, I can't go where I want to go, so I'll just throw it away. Or I can't go where I want to go, so I'm just gonna check it down. As opposed to, I have no idea what they're doing, which is, and both are not good if you're going to be a championship.
Both are not good,
right? Both are not good.
Remember last year, it was a lot of because I was being pretty critical, and I just want to be clear, we were very soft about it. And Sam, you can attest to this. There was so much more we could have, got into of like missing reads here and things like that, and we were very cool about it. I think. Am I making this up? I feel like
you could have been. I mean, people. So it's funny how it works, man. It's funny how it works because man, Devin is just killing him. I was like, man, wait a minute. So you don't know what Devin killing the dude looks.
You have no idea.
You have no idea what it sounds like. You're killing the guy. If you think this is killing him, it was so much more, and we were very cool about it. I just want to make that clear. But you have to tell the fact of what's going on. And so it's just, I saw somebody tweet it out as they were watching the game. And this is a guy, I don't know anything about him. I don't know who he was. I didn't even look at his Twitter or anything, but it said, this is a lot of what Devin talked about last year. So much meat left on the bone. So much meat left on the bone. And we saw that on full display. That was a phrase, by the way, wasn't specifically aimed at Cade, but you could infer from the game in which it occurred. I believe it was after the Wisconsin game where Harbaugh said in the press conference, we just feel like there was a lot of meat left on the bone. And that was maybe the case. That was maybe the most vibrant game of the season. And they won it, of course. It was a really, really strong second half, but it was a contest where, man, the first 2.5 quarters, we felt like there were 4 touchdowns left on the field. And so you come away, I remember coming away at the time where people were like, man, play calling this game was terrible. And I'm like, man, you got to actually see. You
got to wait till Monday morning quarterback. That's your problem. Get your butt to morning quarterback, and you'll see that there were outstanding plays called.
Yeah, there were outstanding plays called in that game. I thought that was coincidentally, that was one of Gaddis's best games called with all the guys that were running open. But what I learned in that game, what I learned from talking to Borges, from talking to a lot of coaches, a lot of coordinators, Borges, Gaddis, talked to Jed Fish before. I talked to a lot of guys about the philosophy of play calling. And a lot of guys can get caught up in their stuff, Devin.
Yeah.
They can get caught up in their stuff. And I think that's what, like, if you get an honest moment, for instance, with Josh, because Al made this point.
Yeah.
Man, you see guys running open, and you say, man, that's them. They're not executing. Okay, you keep calling your stuff, and they keep not executing, and you can lose the game. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that when that happens? That's your fault. If you keep calling plays that you say work, but they can't execute, then you're the problem as the coordinator. Yeah. You got to call what they can execute. And so what I felt like he leaned into last year, Dev, is okay. Well,
was the inability to draw the ball down the field.
Yeah, he can't execute this, or we can't execute this in this game. Let me call some things we can execute. Washington.
So the one thing I want to say, I met with so I had Wyoming, Tulsa this weekend, and the offensive coordinator for Wyoming, you know, everybody knows Wyoming was awful against Illinois. Quarterback was 5 of 20 for 30 yards, a turnover, you know, just very bad. And so we're meeting, and I'm very interested to see, what, like, you know, because I have to ask, like, what's the problem and whatever the case may be. And he said he learned a quote from, I think it was Tom Moore or something. And he said, when you're being a coordinator, you know, so many times, like you said, people get caught up in their stuff. This is my stuff, or whatever the case may be. When you're being a coordinator, you have to think in situations, you have to think players, and you can't think plays, right? You have to think the actual human player. What is my player comfortable with in this moment? What can he do right now? Not, oh, this is the play I have perfectly designed for this situation. Not remembering, hey, maybe this guy isn't very good at this. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, for Cade, he's past the point of, we're going to protect you because, you know, last year he was young, right? And that's why I was very soft in my critique is, you know, people think it was hard. It wasn't. It was very soft. And so the reason for that is like, oh, he's still young. He's still learning. He's still figuring things out. Well, you're not young anymore. You're a grown man. You've been in college for a very long time. You're getting paid as well, right? Cade's getting paid. Let's be clear, right? Now, simple things against a Colorado State, like reading the rotation of the coverage, can't be ignored, if that makes sense, right? A year ago, you're young, and remember, as the season went on, later in the season, I was a little more critical, right? Because now you're getting more reps, things should improve. Well, we're here, you're in a full-blown competition because next week, I'm going to be just as critical of JJ, right? I'm going to be just as critical of JJ. And if the film lends me to not be critical because he does things right, that's what's going to happen. Like, that's how life works, and that's how true competition works. Right, that's how true competition works, and so but that's the one thing I'm frustrated by with Cade is the lack of improvement in that area of seeing the coverage and maybe knowing the coverage, but still locking in and not moving on the next reads, especially with the protection that he gets. You know, that's the one thing I am envious of him and JJ. When I tell you they be protected, man, that part could be nice and stout and strong, and it was sometimes where he like drifted out of the pocket and created his own danger. I'm like, where are you going? Get in the fight. You know, Borges' favorite thing. Get in the fight. Why are you backing out? Backing out and creating all this other danger when there's a play to be made in the middle, which everybody thought I was crazy when I was saying that. But later in the season last year, he started to get in the fight and everything opened up. Plays all over the place. You can make throws and things like that. Even had a few nice runs, right? And so, like I said, as I continue to say, there's no opinion here, right? It's all fact, and there's no biases. My bias is the best player to play. That's my bias.
Let's talk about in the few minutes that you have left, DG. Let's talk about JJ's showing in this game because he gets in, and I believe that was the first bluff zone of the game, and he takes it to the house.
Listen, man, and it sucks. And you do this to me on purpose because I intentionally left JJ out of the episode because once again, he's going to force me to talk good. He's going to force me to say good things. So I was up late night, you know, doing the deal. And I'm like, okay, JJ plays are coming. So I wanted to cut it off, right? But I just wanted to see the run one more time. I just want to see what happened. And even on the play before that run, where the big run from the running back, just the threat of him moves the linebacker. The threat of him moves the linebacker, and the running back is gone. You know, whatever, doing his deal. And then he has the run, which, remember, we had the same run that I critiqued him. I was very critical of him, right, when he had the ball in the right arm, right, and he got tackled. Do you remember that? I forgot what game it was. I'm like, you got to score on this, right? You read it, you get out, and you got to score. Well, he didn't get all upset. He didn't think I was picking on him. He went and scored on this one. He still had it in the right arm, but he said, you know what? I'm a little faster this year, and I'm going to get this edge, and he can't touch me. Walks in the end zone. And then on his pass plays, it was super vanilla. So I expected him to be perfect on him, and he was perfect. Threes across the board, but
yeah, man, his
offense looked like it had a new tempo, a new feel, a new breath of like life, a new speed, a new intensity about the way they played. And so that's not something that is like made up. Like you can see it with your eyes. Like, why are they moving so much faster? Why is there so much more bounce and intensity in the movement? Even though the plays, he wasn't even driving the ball down the field. It was just inside stuff and movement, and it just looked cleaner and whatnot.
Yeah, the play that I was most impressed with wasn't even a touchdown, which was impressive. It wasn't that, that out for the far hash, which was really impressive.
The one that we had turned down all game because it's too far of a throw for the quarterback. That's great.
But yeah, that was impressive. But the one that I thought it was another bluff zone, his second run. But the tight end runs a line route, right? So JJ pulls it, number one.
Oh, no. He didn't throw it because he can get the first down with his legs.
Well, I thought he didn't throw it because the linebacker, whatever the defender was,
he went with
the line. He
went with
the line. Yeah, he went with him. And so JJ sees that.
Okay, fine.
I'll pull it. I'm gone. I was like, man. So here he is.
I don't think that was super impressive. I don't think that was super impressive. I think that's basic, right? I see him covered. Don't throw it to him. And the reason you're saying it's so impressive is because we've watched Cade still throw it to him. But in Cade's defense, he doesn't have the skill set of JJ to take off and just don't throw it. You know what I mean? When you got legs, it gives you a sense of comfortability. We're like, okay, well, he's covered, so I'm not going to throw it. And it seems like normal for us, like, duh, of course you won't throw it. Well, if there's no other, there's other options. But when your legs aren't a real option, you know what I mean? You still throw it and try to just make a perfect throw right down and away or something like that. So it seems like a common sense thing, like, oh, he's not there, throw it, don't throw it. But, it is.
Hey, folks, the film breakdown is coming. Everything that we just talked about, it lays the stage or sets the stage for you to understand the film analysis a lot better. So this is like your homework, right? Your prep for that a little bit later on. And
hey, hold on, it's a comment. It says if Cade is so bad that it tells me JJ could be worse at reading a defense, if you got two QBs, only means you don't have one. Well, that's not true because Clemson had two QBs and then they went and won the national championship. Ohio State had three QBs. They wouldn't run the national championship. So, JR, you're wrong. At 9 a.m., he posted that.
Yeah,
he's wrong.
Bama had two. They went one.
Bama had two. They won the championship. So, JR, you're wrong. We got two really good quarterbacks, by the way.
And this is a fair process. I'll close. But again, Devin, we got to get out of here on this break. But now JJ's the guy this weekend. I've heard you say a million times, I played great when I was the backup. Great when I was the backup. It was different when I was the guy. So how about that dynamic, that mindset for JJ this week?
Oh, I cannot wait to see it. I cannot. And it's going to be a night. So guess what? I'm going to be able to watch. I might be able to make it back to the game. My game is Duke Northwestern at 12 o'clock. So I'm about to go looking for flights to see, can I get back before this game is over? But I might not be able to. But that's the question. That's the elephant in the room. Okay, you're very good at spot duty, which is tough. Remember how I talked about that's a tough thing to do, to be good in spot duty all the time, especially with the plays that he's given. It's not like small plays. It's like groundbreaking kind of plays, especially towards the end of the season. That's cool. Can you, for an entire game, drive by drive, pick up first downs, turn down a big play for a needed play? Can you check it down when you need to? Can you not turn the ball over? Can you protect the ball as far as in the pocket and different things like that? Can you know when to say no when the play is over? That's the question for an entire game, right? We've seen him do it in spot duty before. Entire game, can he do that? And we don't have to ask that question for much longer, Sam, because we get to see it soon.
We sure do. All right, folks, you'll get a chance to, if we get it, if things go according to perfect plan, we'll have the breakdown up tonight. Otherwise, it'll be up tomorrow. Be on the lookout for it. Monday morning quarterback film analysis with Devin Gardner. DG, appreciate you, man. Get back in the bed.
I'm in the bed, man. Good night. Good night.
That was Devin Gardner, Monday morning quarterback. It's a quarterback kind of day because